bigger plate to fill, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a very good idea? You know, when I think of groups like ABBA,
Exactly.
they are so well embedded in our memories because of how we remember them.
Exactly.
The moment they come back, it might be a different ball game. They may not sound as great. They certainly won't look like they did then.
Exactly, but they've got that as an upper hand that they've been imprinted in our lives, you know, way back. Yeah. So same thing. I think Citroen's going to be a hit.
You think it's going to be a hit?
Yeah, for years we've been waiting for a successor for this car. Because remember, in the 50s, the car used to have turning headlights or with the steering all synced together. Pressure brake, like the brake pedal wasn't like the conventional brake pedal, it was like a button. Now imagine that in the 50s. Now imagine now we're in 2024. What are they going to bring out?
0719104404. Would you consider yourself going back to the Bamba Dachka? Since there's a consideration, if Citroën were to write to you and say, should we bring this back on the poll, would you say yes, bring it back, no, bring it back, or maybe bring it back? 0719104404. We're sharing with you some of the interesting things that's been happening in the industry. We've been talking also on our show about the BT50. Interestingly, Lance, during Trade Fair, we happened to connect with our colleague from Zambia, was in the country. He is part of the Mercedes-Benz franchise in Zambia.
Yeah.
And he was telling us that part of their motorcade has a BT50. I was like, no, it's just that I never imagined that BT50 can be a part of a motorcade.
You can, because look, first and foremost, most manufacturers have all gone the turbo route.
Yeah.
So this is a turbo diesel engine. What turbo diesel has under the hood is it's massive torque. So definitely with that, we couple to a gearbox that's got the right ratios and definitely it can keep up with the Mercedes. Not maybe as fast as a Mercedes, but for a certain speed, it will work. You know.
Yeah.
And here in Zimbabwe, it will be a plus, because remember, Mazda was our car. And
it was our car.
Exactly, Mazda, wheel of a motor industry used to assemble these cars.
Yeah.
And now imagine that car. And I was lucky to drive the latest the BT50. I was quite impressed, to be honest.
Yeah.
As compared to what they used.
At low speeds, they're saying there's a software within the body control module,
exactly,
which is causing this, and lights may not illuminate when a vehicle is traveling at less than 10 km an hour. And Mazda. Wow, I don't know where Mazda came from. So Mazda has said, listen, let's bring back this car. This is not something that we are happy to keep on.
Remember, you got Australia in itself is not a Mazda country.
Right.
It's a trailer country. And also they've also got their own marks like the Holden, you know, and yeah. This era, it's superficial. I think it's recalled back the vehicle and they can fix the glitch.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not Mazda that's been through these. I mean, Toyota's been through that, you know. Even Mercedes has gone through that.
In fact, Mercedes right now has a recall that's coming.
Exactly.
There are actually quite a few cars. Kia also has a recall. So a recall sounds like
it's not really
they had to go back into the 90s, and it was proven that they had been kind of telling what you call it when you call a lie. It may not be a major lie, but a lie.
It is, because look at it. It's just like how the Corolla was the top selling vehicle of all time in the world.
Right.
Some are funny. They found a glitch, and most Corollas are called back, and they took the crown away from Toyota. So it's a game. It's a game. It's a game.
I hear you. It's Under the Hood. Good morning, 11:32. We were just looking at some car news. What are your feelings about the recall for BT50 and Tesla now making a much more affordable EV that's soon hitting the market? And what about Bentley also saying, listen, let's face out one car, but we want to introduce one that's also electric? Are you also gearing yourself up for the idea of electric vehicles? They certainly are coming under the way. And many thanks to Monashe, who's been on our show highlighting that not only do we need to think about EVs, we need to think about the supporting mechanisms behind having EVs.
Changing radio, Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's heartbeat.
It's called TEF.
Tune into the life-changing radio, Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's heartbeat.
You are a 15W30 magnetic, or maybe you are a 15W50 synthetic. 0719104404. Not only do you know what that is, but what do you think your car is using? Let us know on 0719104404. And also, I'm still curious to hear from you if you know what that what chichi what's the W4 or 50 asianirena 35 and 40. Lance is going to be helping us figure that out all in a second. Good morning to you, 4119. Inini, I think Citron Bamba Dachka Ikadzoka, iri new model in
back in the day.
Sheesh, Lance, and you're saying Bamba Dachka iri will be able to pit up against the S-Class. You sure the 7 Series?
Look,
are you
Citroen
sure
has
about
to make
this?
sure, because it's been years since they haven't been making this model, so they have to really come back. And I think personally, from a personal point of view, I feel like if Citroen pulls this off, they can recover their sales from Gudara. Because
correct, it's types of oils. Said you didn't put your name though. 3681. He who calls himself the Nubian King. How are you doing? And it says, yes, we're talking about viscosity and weight of oils.
Yes.
Now you're talking my language, he says. Talk to us a little bit more about this, Lance. When we see oil types for our cars coming in with a number, a letter, then another number, what does that mean? And when we talk about oils, why are they necessary to a car, firstly?
Okay, first, before we just need to define what is an engine oil. So an engine oil is a liquid or a substance that is used to remove friction in an internal combustion engine, right? So the keyword is internal combustion,
right?
Meaning that we are under heat and pressure. So with that said, oil companies need to come up with an oil that is specific to a certain car, right, or certain setup of an engine. So we've got different fundamentals that come in, factors that differentiate the kind of oils that we need to use in a car. So there's basically 2 types of oil that we are all exposed to, right? This is the multi-grade oil and the mono-grade oil. Right, and also when we get to put it to simplify it, the viscosity grade 5W40. Let's just use 5W30 as an example. Right. It simply means 5W is the weight of oil from the startup process or when it's cold. Right.
So the W is weight. Let's just say for remembrance.
We say weight. It's
for
winter. Let's
purposes.
say winter.
Oh, winter.
Yeah, exactly, because both are weights. Right. So you notice that the W is in between the 2 numbers. Right. So there's 5W. 35 exactly. Right. So 5W is the weight of the oil at startup when you start up your engine when it's cold, right? So we basically say W is for winter, and then the 40 or the 30.
It's a good you know about
you need to start. Basically, people, if you just put it into practice where you start your car, leave it to idle for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, then go about your business. Actually saves your engine. Because remember, it's an engine, it's an iron block or aluminium block,
right?
And heat transfer is very important. Now, if it's rapid, it's not going to be fine. So you need to make it gradual. You need to make the heat transfer be gradual. So you need your car to run for a while, then you drive off. So if you notice that oils, right? This is where you want to talk about synthetic and fossil oils, right? So a synthetic oil is basically an oil that is man-made or man-enhanced. Right. So it's less susceptible to the weather conditions. That's why you notice most manufacturers are now requiring their vehicles to have synthetic oils. Right. So heat is a factor, a big factor. Right. So the 5W is the heat range, and the 30 will be the oil viscosity,
which is the thickness.
Thickness, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Any liquid is measured by the thickness.
Right. So talk to us about the importance of thickness
of oil.
Right.
So contrary to popular belief, people think the thicker the oil, the better.
Oh, not necessarily.
It's not necessarily that. So you need to know your car. First and foremost, like last week we discussed about the fuel cap of a car, having details and stuff, right? So you need to also take time to research about your car, or even open the cap. Usually on the cap or the cover
of the oil,
exactly on the engine oil, there is the grade that you need to use.
Right.
Or even like I can vouch for Mercedes. Mercedes is written maybe 5W10, 5W30, whatever, and recommends castor oil. So you need to get the oil that is designed for that engine. Why? Let me explain to you. Okay. So basically, an engine's got what we call an oil pump, right? And it's got veins where the oil is channeled into the engine itself. Right. Right. So older cars with older technology, it was difficult to make smaller veins and stuff. So Gudara, they used to just have a big pump and big veins and stuff. So a thicker oil would work better with an older engine because it's got a bigger place to fill up. Right. And lubricate the engine. Right. Now with technology, as time went on, manufacturers found out that actually that oil pump is actually draining power from the output of the engine because of the size and the thicker oil. So that's when they started making thinner oils and better technology for the engines. Right. So just like, let's just say you're on a honey from a bottle
a
with
straw.
Yes. Right, and there's water with honey. The
Water with
the
honey
flows faster.
Right.
That's the basic technology on oil. So when you make an engine, you need to have that fundamental as the core factor of the motor.
Right.
So now picture this. You've got, let's just say maybe a 2004 car. This is the best technology so far in automotive. You can't use a thicker oil because it's got a smaller pump, smaller drivetrain, and smaller vanes. It's going to be hard for that pump to pump that oil, that thick oil.
Right. So in other words, you're not going for a 15W50.
Exactly.
You're probably going for a 15W20.
Maybe a 5W20, 5W25, depending with the manufacturer as well. And also other fundamentals that come into play is where you are, your region, right? Imagine you're in England and Zimbabwe. These are very two different places. So you can't have the same oil in England being the same oil being used in Zimbabwe. Here in Zimbabwe, we've got so much heat and stuff. In English, it's always cold.
Right.
So the additives, again, in that oil, the town where people are buying this certain oil from Japan, and there's a warranty on the oil and all that. But that warranty is not going to work here because the fundamentals are quite different.
Right.
Unless they're making oil for us.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we've got local oil companies. We've got local oil companies all over that they have. So I urge people to go to oil companies, get as much information as possible.
Right. And speaking of that,
you need to. It's very important these days to have a person who's going to assist you in getting a car or maintaining your vehicle.
Yeah.
Always get
but
someone.
It seems like most mechanics don't know, though. I don't actually think they necessarily know a car that was working well in England, in London, where the temperatures go below zero.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have, like, we used to have our own cars. Like back in the day, our parents never used to have problems with oils because we were Datsun 1200s, Datsun 1500s, Mazda B16 and all. These cars used to use 20W50 mineral oil. Right. It was, just go buy your oil, do it yourself and stuff. But nowadays, I urge people to really do their research. Yeah. Because this is the contributor effect of how your car is going to last.
Got you. So you're actually having to Google oil viscosity for, say, an African climate. Exactly. Because also, so you were telling us that it's 5W, the W being winter, right? Weather, But then there's 5W, there's 10W, there's 15W.
These are the heat ranges. So the lower the number.
So generally speaking, in a climate like Zimbabwe, which is the range that's more natural to us?
With the car, depends with the car. Let's speak. It's car specific, right? For example, maybe a Volvo V50 or Volvo A60 or Volvo S40. The recommended oil to use is a 5W30, right? When in Europe, it's a 0W30. Right. This is very important. Now you notice people have got this situation whereby you hear a rattle coming from your car, and you think that since you got it, let me put in a thicker oil or an additive in the oil. Before you do that, just take your time and research, and get someone to help you. There's so many people out there who can help you, and this will save your engine in the long run.
All right, so let's talk about some of the symbols that we may find on our car caps or even on the oil, right? Sometimes you find one that will say SAE 5W30 API service, energy conserving. What's that mean?
So the API service, energy conserving, right? SAE stands for, let me just check, Society of Automotive Engineers. Like I say, it's a unit of measure.
Right. It's the rating system.
Exactly. It's a rating system. Like these engineers got together, discussed about this, and they came up with the standarding. So the SAE40, if you notice the oil written SAE40, it's just a basic monograde oil. Right? But then if they specify SAE, then 5W, exactly, that's when you now need to do your research and you find that that's the 5W30 oil. Then you said API.
Then I said there's API service.
API service.
And which means but I guess it's an American system. American Petroleum Institute.
Exactly. Yeah. So you see, there's what it's written on the other side. It's energy saving or
energy saving. Yes,
this is where
conserving.
We're going, exactly. This is where we're going back to the issue we talked about, where the oil pump is being made to use the least kinetic energy from the engine, hence the thinner oil, with the same effect of the thicker oil. So your engine becomes more efficient. Basically, just like how if you use an aircon pump and if you switch on your aircon, your car tends to use slightly more fuel because the engine is loaded with that Aircon pump. Same thing with the oil pump as well.
So when we talk about synthetic motor oil versus a synthetic blend, what do we mean?
Okay, so basically, like I said that time, there's been 3 types of oil that we've been exposed to. We've got the monograde and the multigrade oil. These are the two types, right? Then in those 2 types, the multigrade, there is the fully synthetic oil, and there's also the semi-synthetic oil. Right. So a lot of people, you people talking about Castro Age, a magnetic and all that, right? So a magnetic will be a blend of the fossil oil and synthetic oil. Then the edge will be the cutting edge, the fully synthetic oil. So over the years,
if I use, say, a synthetic and one that's asking for a blend, a fully synthetic one asking for a blend, what happens there?
Right, when it comes to semi-synthetic, you can definitely then use a full synthetic oil.
Okay.
But oil.
The
car. Yeah, like I said, your manual or your research or your... look, buying a car is not just for the looks. You need to do your research.
Yeah, apparently.
You need to do your research.
0719100404. So have you actually seen where it's written either on your car or in the manual what car oil you should be using, or have you just accepted that it's 5W34 like it? Me, I know nothing, but I know that's what I'm buying. And where did you get that recommendation? Let us know. 0719100404. Taff, good morning. We hear you chose to be somewhere else instead of with us this morning. Who does that?
You guys, but I have been listening in.
Yeah.
I think Lawrence has done a very good job explaining mineral oil, semi-synthetic oil, and then fully synthetic oil.
Yeah.
I hope people appreciate the knowledge, because it goes beyond buying a beautiful car. You have to know what to do to.
Got you. Talk to us a little bit from your experience as somebody who's in the car selling business. Do you actually know how you can tell the car oil without looking at the manual? Because I'm pretty sure most of us don't even know where that booklet is, and certainly have not really read through all the things that are, encrypted in that manual.
Well, listen, I think Lars explained it very well.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to understand the climate that you're going to use the vehicle in. And he also explained very well that, when manufacturers make these cars, generally what is visible to most people, or what you see as clues, are things that suit that environment. But the manual will always tell you the correct or the recommended type of oil that you should use. Certain vehicles have certain brands which they prefer and are kind of made to suit those ones or work better with them. But we always urge people to go to a trusted mechanic if there's no available information in the vehicle, to talk about the vehicle, or go one step backwards. To get this information from the dealerships themselves is free. Just call the dealership, tell them you have a car like this and like that, ask them what recommended fuel is for. They'll look through the system and they'll tell you. Free of charge. And it will only just take you a minute.
It's Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's Abid Lance was just highlighting that if you are unsure what the recommended oil type is for your car, have you checked the engine oil cap? That in itself will come in handy to let you know what oil you should be using for your car. Are you using 5W30 at the moment, or maybe you're using something else? Let us know what it is that you're using, and how do you know that what you're using is the recommended engine oil that's supposed to be on there. 0719100404. 4940. Good morning. Most ex-Jap vehicles manuals are in Japanese, and that's a great point.
Yeah, it is.
We can hardly read.
Back in the day, we purchased a Toyota IST for my wife, and the handbook was in Japanese, to be honest. We went out of our way to translate it.
What? Wait, hold on, Google Scholar.
Yeah.
What do you mean you went out of your way to
We
translate?
went out of our way to look for, if you go on forums and stuff, look, Zimbabwe, or should I say the whole world, is gearing up for DIY, do it yourselves. Things are getting more expensive.
Yeah.
So it just takes a few minutes. Instead of Googling about celebrities and stuff, why not Google about it?
Fired, Lance.
Yeah.
Instead of Googling my TTs, need to know what your oil cap is saying. Yes,
exactly.
What Lon said as well.
Yeah.
Listen, if you go online, the newest vehicle to the oldest vehicle, and say English version of owner's manual, chances are you will find.
Okay. All right.
A great place.
Yeah.
And this is something that will cost a couple of cents.
All right.
It will save you a lot of money in the long run.
All right. Coming up, Lance is going to give us the Zim Classic Car of the Week. He's going to give us a description. You get to come through on 0719190404 and guess which car it is. Lance, take it away.
Okay. So, in the 90s, we're 80s babies, but we started walking around 1990, 91, 92, 93. There was a certain vehicle our parents used to use.
Yep.
And it was a very nice name, or should I say a nice term used for it. And we used to play in the back of the car. We used to sit across each other. And those cars were very reliable and strong. So hint, hint, wink, wink. It's a French car, a very strong car, and it's termed the Lion of Africa.
Right. So that's the Zim Classic Car of the Week. Can you tell which car this is? It was known as the Lion of Africa. Give us those tips the description one more time, Lance.
Okay, so yeah, it's a car that we all used back in the day. We hired it or we leased it. And we used to sit in the back, across, legs crossing each other, and it's very strong, very, very strong.
0719190404. What do you think that is? We're also going to look at events that are happening in the car industry, and then we're going to be doing our car review. Which car is best? Taff, are you ready? All right. So let's firstly find out what's happening. Taff, you tell us about ADMA and also tell us about events that are coming up. July sounds like it's going to be pretty warm for you.
About what's happening right now. So if people are wondering why I'm on the phone and not in the studio today, it's because I'm at ADMA, the ADMA Agri Show 2024. So I've been going around the stand, seeing what people are doing, and this is such an impressive show when it comes to, people think when they think about vehicles, they just think about small cars. They forget about the bigger brothers, which are the lorries, the trucks, and all the other vehicles that get all the goods and services we need in our home for our daily lives to actually get to the supermarket. So it's interesting to see what is available, not just for, commercial appeal in terms of transport needs, but also for things to move your produce, things that enhance the workflow for farmers and things of that nature. And it is a very impressive stand all around us here at ADMA. I encourage anybody who's got some time to come through, have a look. I think you will learn a lot because all the experts are here in one place.
Yeah.
To buy a vehicle, small or big, I think it's a good place for one to actually venture, ask questions, see vehicles, touch, feel, and get the right information as well.
You might be getting the spelling wrong, but it seems like you know the car that Lance is but you know me being African and Zimbabwean, I know exactly what you're trying to say. We'll get into that. So here's our highway code question of the day as we're going to be getting into our car review. This one is a Class A danger warning sign. I want you to tell me, what does the warning sign of a narrow grid ahead look like? 0719100404. Narrow grid ahead. What does the warning sign look like? All right, let's quickly get into our car review. Din, 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 din. So this week we're doing our Mazda Axela, which was last week's winner, versus the Suzuki Swift. Suzuki Swift is being represented by Lance. All right, so the Suzuki Swift is in its 4th generation. It's a 5-door hatchback. Mazda Axela is a sedan. Let's talk about cargo capacity of the Suzuki.
So who's going first, me or whatever?
You are Suzuki.
So my Suzuki's got 265 liters of boot space.
Correct. And Taff, what's your Mazda Axela looking like?
Version, but I'm gonna go in with the hatchback version.
Right.
To the Swift, and that goes for 350 liters of boot space.
All right. All right, so it is a win for you. And when we're looking at transmission, Suzuki.
Well, Suzuki's got a good arsenal on its hands. So since it's also being distributed from South Africa, we've got the manual versions as well.
Okay.
Right, and CVT transmission as well.
Yeah.
Right.
We saw this again last week with the Toyota Aqua. When we say CVT transmission, remind us what we mean again.
It's constant velocity transmission. It's how can I put it? It's how your gearbox changes gears without you feeling it. It's more like it's a comfort feature.
Okay.
Gearbox, yeah.
All right. So which one is taking the cup? Is it the one with the manual and auto transmission, or is it just the one with automatic transmission?
I think personally the CVT is a better setup.
I tend to agree, unfortunately. There.
would overlook that, but you know what?
When we look at the drivetrain, what can you tell us about the Mazda Axela, Taf?
Well, the drivetrain for it are very comfortable, well suited. You've got your nice suspension. I think it's a vehicle that's made for a road. It's quite well. The only compromise I would definitely say is it sits a little bit lower because of the sporty infusion on the vehicle. From that, comfortable, reliable, definitely sturdy.
Got you. And for the Swift, what's your drivetrain?
Look, the Swift, they've got the full drive version, right? And it's quite comfortable. And look, I think it's being made for the African terrain, right? And with the gearbox and stuff, I think it's going to be a more comfortable car.
Yeah.
Right. I've driven one, the first generation. I was quite impressed. Suzuki go out of their way to make something nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the engine review. When we're talking the powertrain, what's the Swift looking at?
Swift, basically the range has got about 5 to 6 engines with ranging from 92 horsepower all the way to the 125 horsepower. And most important, they've got a sport version. And you know how it is with us people always want to have it. And recently we've noticed in South Africa, it's actually in the same class as the GTI. And so not that it's beating the GTI, but it's actually there. It counts for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
looks like the Swifty guy is showing off a little bit. Mazda Axela, how are you looking for your powertrain?
I think the Swift guy is talking a lot today because today he's come with a car that goes very well against the Axela.
Yeah.
1.5 liter engine all the way up to 2 liter per mile, but then with terms of the newer technology in the Swift, you've got a slightly smaller engine that does produce a little bit more horsepower than mine. So in terms of acceleration, I think, and performance rather, I think the Swift unfortunately may have.
Got you. And in terms of torque, does this mean the Swift is also taking it in terms of torque?
The Axela might win in terms.
I think so too.
Due to that slightly bigger engine it has. So in terms of torque, yes, but when it comes to the power performance, lighter frame on the Swift, so I think you will still outperform me based on its lighter frame versus mine. So, but the Swift will take a little bit.
Got you. All right. Talking in terms of the interior, we know that we've got like less than a minute left. We see that the Suzuki is sitting at a 9-inch display, front and rear speakers. It's got fabric with some adjustment, chrome-plated handles. What is the Mazda Axela giving us, by the way?
It's more sporty interior. You can get all the way up to leather, but I must add that the Swift is a slightly more modern vehicle, so you find that aesthetics and the things that are within it, like the 7-inch infotainment system, is better than what you get in the.
Got you.
Like a sporty, clean look, the Mazda takes it. But if you like a more modern look, I think the Swift takes it.
All right. So when we are concluding this, it looks like it is the Suzuki Swift that's taking the cup this week against the Mazda Axela. We'll be reviewing that next week. Lance, quickly tell us the car, the classic Zim car that you had described. Give us the description again and give us the answer.
So the car was used as a taxi back in the day. And that's
it's ET.
ET, emergency taxi.
Yes.
Yeah, legendary Peugeot 504.
Yes. So some people came in and says Peugeot 404.
Same thing.
Same thing. So congratulations to you, 9335. And to you, 9942, well done to you. I'll give you what the sign looks like next week. But for today, this is all we have for you under the hood. We'll be back again next week. It's 12 o'clock. It's time for the news. Taf, enjoy. Adma, not because you're supposed to be here, but we love you nonetheless. Enjoy the rest of your day. Lance, thank you so much for coming.